City Council meeting should be starting here momentarily. We're about 3 minutes out. It is 5:27 p.m. in Kitsap County, 50 degrees currently. But the severe weather shelters are open this evening. So we are going to have a pretty severe dip in weather pretty quickly here. So, when it's a clear day, that it tends to be a lot colder. So again, the severe weather shelters are open this evening. Please get the word out. Folks can call 211 or 360-373-3000 to get a ride to the severe weather shelter. Silverdale, Port Orchard, and Kingston are the shelters that are open. Okay, so again, please get the word out. We do not want anyone to be unhoused. Again, City Council will be starting here momentarily. We're just waiting on them to get going. Hopefully you had a chance to watch the Kitsap Housing and Homeless Coalition meeting earlier today. We were definitely honored to win an award with all the other awardees today for the work that we have done in the community. And for me, that award really goes to the staff, the volunteers, the workers, the board of Gather Together, Grow Together. Very thankful for all of their efforts over the past 5 years of serving the community in the different ways that we do it. It is hard work. It is long hours, 365 days a year. We typically do not take any time off, at least as a collective, and it's hard and it takes its toll. But the need is great, and we continue to try to answer that need as much as we possibly can. And so we're thankful for that, and we hope to continue to serve the community and to hopefully serve it better and improve upon the things that we have already done. And like I said, continue to do it.
Recording in progress. Conference room for a briefing to discuss tonight's agenda. At 5:30 p.m., we moved here to the first floor chambers to conduct the council meeting in person. And because we encourage community involvement, we also invite the public to join us over Zoom or participate remotely by watching on BCAT. I note that tonight, Councilmember Dennehy and Vice President Chamberlain are attending remotely. So first up, we have the mayor's report. Welcome, Mr. Mayor.
Well, good evening, Council President, councilors. Good to see you this evening. So I've just got a couple items I want to share with you. Get right to it. All right, so the Safe Routes to School feedback sign project. You've probably seen a few of those around the city, and we believe they're effective and that they do result in slower and more mindful speeds, and just kind of get folks aware that they're entering the school zone. So this project, as you know, you approved for the city. We're moving forward. Design will be completed by the end of this year, construction in spring of next year. You can see the schools that will be targeting: Harmon Jar, Crown Hill, Bud Hawk, Mountain View Middle School, and Naval Avenue Elementary. So more to come on that. Right, next slide, please. Well 9 replacement. So this is, it was a well that was discontinued in 2010. It's in East Bremerton. And you're wondering why I'm bringing a well project to you to talk about, but the reason for this is to plan for the existing, the current recent growth and the future growth that's projected in East Bremerton, including out into the urban growth area. So this is, as you can see, it was awarded last year. Site prep is occurring here in 2023 in February. So again, it's we anticipate growth continuing as we are actually witnessing it today, and this is preparing for that growth. Next slide. Oyster Bay Creek Culvert Replacements Project. So the thing I like about this is ultimately when we're finished, we turn something that has been a impassable, route for fish to spawn. And we actually create we remove fish barriers and create passage for salmon runs. So it's kind of cool. This just highlights some of the project from Ostrich Creek. You can see it was broken up into phases in 2021. It speaks for itself. 3x3 box culvert was replaced by a 3-sided 17-foot wide culvert. And of course, the Price Brentwood one, we replaced that with a 57-foot long bridge. And again, now we have potential salmon passage where we did not have before. So it's cool, especially in a built environment in the city of Bremerton. Next slide, please. Quincy Square. So it's time to update you that the permit process is moving forward. So please know there is no delay in the permit process. It is this federal environmental EPA process. So we're close to the shoreline. A lot of people forget about that, but we are close to the shoreline. The federal process is slower. And so we anticipate, as we were putting up there on the screen, spring of next year, breaking ground. This does allow us to finalize the drawings and still continue to prep for construction when that time comes. So just be aware, we can update folks. 4th Street will be returned to everybody this year. We don't want that, but now we can start planning for events on 4th Street and summer festivals. Next slide, please. Hydroelectric power generation feasibility study. So Sad Dam, as you know, we have transmission and distribution piping. And so that generates a lot of PSI, pounds per square inch, in water velocity and flow. And there's a chance there. This is all this is right now, it's a feasibility study to see if we could create and generate our own electricity. With our current technology, nothing big from this, other than potentially a microgrid that might support some of our own power plants, support some of our own operations. And that's it for right now. I think we're going to learn a lot from this. And so it's just wanted you to know this process is continuing, and the details are up there. We're out for bids right now. Next slide, please. All right, I have been invited, and it's an honor to be invited to this League of Women Voters Housing Summit. And it's a region-wide effort to be held up in Kingston on March 25th. The reason I'm invited is Bremerton has led in the effort to promote the development of missing middle housing. So as you know, you've been here every step of the way with me. Some of you have every step of the way, and some of you for the last year, as we've developed ordinances for duplexes, townhome, triplexes, cottage housing. We've increased our density in several areas, all responsibly fitting into our neighborhoods that we have today, but at the same time, encouraging more development growth. We need more housing. We're dramatically short in the amount of housing we need in the region. So the members of our county and our region have taken note of Bremerton's efforts. We've been leading in this, so I'm going to be presenting on what we've done at this forum. So on March 25th, I invite you to attend. And it'll be, we can all take credit. I think we've done a great job, but there's more work to do, but we've done a lot of work and a great job getting to where we are today. Next slide, please. And again, the Energy Summit, if you haven't, click that register button, please do so. Council, I would love to see all of you there. An important discussion, as we know, energy is a huge topic for us. The future of powering our peninsula, what hydroelectric looks like, what sustainable energy sources look like, how we might, move together into a sustainable future. So that'll all be discussed and more at this summit. So that's it for me tonight, Council. Have a great night.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mayor Wheeler. Next on our agenda, we'll go to the consent agenda. I'm going to turn it over to City Clerk Angela Hoover.
Thank you, President Coughlin. For approval on the consent agenda are the following items. A, claim and check register. Approval of the following checks and electronic fund transfers. 1, check numbers 402050 through 402205, and electronic fund transfers V36991 through V37090 in the grand total amount of $2,832,118.89. 2, regular payroll for pay period ending February 28th, 2023, and the amount of $978,867.87. 3, regular payroll payout for pay period ending February 28th, 2023, and the amount of $3,880.06. B, minutes of meeting March 1st, 2023. C, minutes of study session March 8th, 2023. D, professional services agreement with Osborne Consulting, Inc. for design of the Anderson Creek Dam Removals Project. E, purchase of a John Deere backhoe and Elegant street sweeper and a Toro contour mower. F, contract modification agreement number 2 with Parametrics, Inc. for the decommissioned beach sewer and a Minette OF4 to EV2 project. G, ordinance number 5469 to repeal and replace section 9A.32.140 of the Bremerton Municipal Code, currently entitled cyberstalking. This concludes the reading of the consent agenda.
Thank you so much. Does any member of the public wish to comment on any one of these specific items? And making sure we have none online. All right, then I'll go to the council for a motion. Councilmember Younger.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I call for the question.
Councilmember Chamberlain,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Dennehy,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Mockler,
Yes.
Younger,
Yes.
Coughlin.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Next on the agenda is public recognition.
Fantastic. So as noted on the agenda, public recognition provides an opportunity for attendees to address the council and on any city-related item that's not already listed on tonight's agenda. I ask folks to either please line up at the podium if in person, or if participating by Zoom, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. We just ask that you state your name for use in the record if you live or work in Bremerton, and we ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. We'll have a timer system. And I'll try and give everyone a 30-second warning, and then apologies not to be rude, I'll cut you off at exactly 3 minutes. But with that said, I'll open up public recognition. All right, we'll go first here in person at the podium. Please go ahead.
I'm Mary Lou Long, longtime resident of Bremerton. Good evening, council and citizens. I'm here once again to try to support opening our public meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, as has been done for over 50 years. And I think it's extremely important. So if you would please, anyone that wants to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance with me, I offer you that opportunity. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That wasn't antiquated, was it? I've heard somebody say that that was antiquated. I hope you don't think that it's detrimental to what America really does stand for. I've heard some comments that some people think it's detrimental. I don't believe that's true. Did that take away any serious consideration of time to conduct the rest of your meeting? I don't believe that's true. It only took between 9 and 11 seconds. I was wondering why the council placed this procedural change in amongst several other items on a consent agenda on March the 18th. It was almost as if you might have been trying to hide it from the public. I would like to ask you to reinstate the pledge will you consider placing on the next election ballot the question, shall the Bremerton City Council open all its public meetings with a pledge of allegiance? Yes or no? I also think it's important, and I will be distributing a copy of the Constitution to all of the council members here and to all of the school board members tomorrow night. It's important that we know what our baseline is, and that is the Constitution. The First Amendment says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government
30
for
seconds.
redress of grievance. It's okay. I'm almost finished, and I don't think there's much else to say, but I will be at the school board meeting because they're going to be considering the $1.7 million that was a settlement for Joe Kennedy's being fired because he said a prayer on a field and he had his constitutional right violated by the school.
And that's
board.
3 minutes. Thank you so much, Ms. Long. Is there anybody else for public recognition? Yes, please go ahead in person.
Jane Rebolowski, longtime Bremerton resident. I need to take issue with the fact that every week or so, somebody comes up, usually the same person, complaining about the fact that we no longer start the city council meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, except for special occasions. It was nothing that was hidden. It was discussed in the study session before it was placed on the consent agenda, just like every other thing that's on your consent agendas. So that was a misstatement. Also, not everybody believes in any God, let alone the same God that was inferred when that was added to the Pledge of Allegiance. Also, not everybody in this country has the same liberty and justice that some people have. And so it's an insult to pretend that we all do just because we recite a rhyme that was made for children so that they would buy flags for the Columbia Exposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else for public recognition? Yes, please go ahead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Maxim Stepansky, a refugee from Ukraine who came to the United States with my mom due to the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by the Russian Federation. I'm glad to be alive and to be safe. I'm glad to eat at McDonald's, knowing there is no missile danger. I'm glad to sleep in our apartments and not in a bomb shelter under the sounds of shells. For many things, I'm glad and grateful to the United States and all Americans, because you help us a lot, show real support and reliability as a partner you can count on. So thank you for helping my country continue to resist the terrorists who came to kill the civilians population, regardless of the fact that it's a girl or a boy, an old or a newborn person. A good examples are Bucha, Irpin, Mariupol, and the entire territory of Ukraine where they committed terrible atrocities and abused children like animals. Torture, shooting, shell expulsions, Russian soldiers cutting and sexually abusing Ukrainian children and proudly shouting, "We came to liberate you." You know, it's even a little funny because how can slaves liberate a free people? The Russian Federation crossed all possible moral and physical boundaries killing everyone who wants to live in a free world with democratic values. All people, Ukrainians, Americans, British, Polish, people from Baltic countries. They will never stop doing genocide and all these terrible things, but we can stop them and we will stop this evil with the support of the United States and all the people of the United States. And finally, the strength of free people is in their unity. So together we will
30
overcome
seconds.
all those who try to take away our freedom. Glory to Ukraine and glory to the United States. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Max Stefanski, for sharing your story, and my condolences to what your family has had to go through, what all of Ukrainians have had to go through. And I just pray for a swift and justful end to the situation. So thank you again for speaking up. All right, next we'll keep going with public recognition. Yes.
Hi, hello. I'm Brian Anderson and I live in District 3. First of all, I just want to say it's really good to be here in person tonight. This is the first meeting I've actually joined in person since living in Bremerton, so it's really cool. There's two topics I wanted to bring up, and I'll try and be brief. Number one is it's March, but we're about 3 months away from 4th of July. I don't know if you all remember what happened last year, but it was unlike anything I've ever seen in my entire life. And it, in my opinion, was out of control and a huge safety danger. From where I live, I could see 180-degree views of just fireworks. And we're not talking about street fireworks. We're talking about like rockets going up in the sky over forests, over people's houses, in the parks. And while I'm not trying to diminish patriotism, I think it's great we're celebrating the liberation of our country, but we also want to be safe too. And then also what I find really problematic is this isn't just one night, but it usually starts at the end of May and goes until sometimes the middle of July, all hours of the day. And so what I'm hoping is that there can be some better strategies and tools put in place this year ahead of it. Like we can't change rules now. I know it takes too long, but we can put strategies and tools in place to maybe get a handle on it so it's not quite as crazy this year. I know there's not going to be one solution that solves every single random firework, but we can take small steps to make it a little safer. One thing that immediately comes to mind is the sale of fireworks within Bremerton city limits. I know someone can just drive out of city limits, but it makes it that much harder to get it. There's also collaboration that could be done with the county to address this. So I wrote a really small list of some of the side effects of fireworks, and it's not just people who don't like noise. I'm one of those people, but it's also, it can trigger PTSD for veterans and survivors of gun violence. It causes air pollution and water pollution, which literally you're shooting up little pieces of plastic in the sky that explode and drop into the water. Like I can't think of anything worse. It can result in severe permanent bodily harm to those lighting them and overwhelm emergency services on the 4th of July. It can spark forest fires, especially in times of drought, which we all know that's happening more and more often. Trauma on domesticated pets, disrupt local wildlife. I won't even talk about the bird populations, and then disrupt sleep schedules. And then with the last 30 seconds, I just want to kindly encourage the city council to revisit the topic of 6th Avenue and the bike lanes that we had thought were going to go in there. I understand it's kind of a done deal. It's not going to happen this time, but I would strongly urge the council to not forget about that. That project would benefit the ferry terminal downtown, and it would even benefit high school kids who want to bike to high school. And it would,
And that's 3 minutes.
Calm that road.
Thank you so much. And I think both those items we can work on touching base on at the next study session and finding out where we are with them. Excellent. Thank you. Yes, please go ahead.
So David Emmons, and I am the president and CEO of the Greater Kitsap Chamber of Commerce, and I'm here for the chamber report that you will be getting monthly from now on. I have two things to talk about. The Greater Businesses in Kitsap grant has been awarded. We received a $250,000 Department of Commerce grant that was secured by Tara Simmons, our 23rd legislative district, to help small businesses. We had 78 applicants. They were all interviewed, and 20 recipients did receive $10,000 each that will help them become a better business. And I just wanted to report that 12 of those 20 are small businesses in Bremerton, and I was really excited about that as well. So the second thing that the Chamber is working on is the 76th annual Bremerton Armed Forces Day Festival and Parade. The committee is meeting. We're meeting monthly in February and March, and then we go to twice a month in April and May to pull off the oldest and largest Armed Forces Day Parade in the nation. Applications are live. They went live yesterday on the Chamber website. Because of some generous sponsorship this year, all applicants for the parade will be free. So there will be no charge for applicants. As of this evening at 4:30, when I checked, we have 8 applications in, which is amazing given the time frame. And I would like to encourage and challenge all of the Bremerton City Council members to participate this year in the parade to make it 100% as opposed for the parade. So we're very excited about that. We also have worked on 2 advertising videos, a 30-second one and a 1-minute video, and we'll be sending those to you all so that you can review them. But they encourage staying in Bremerton after the parade to advertise the parade and the festival in the surrounding community. And we're working with a number of agencies to make sure that those get done. If you aren't getting our newsletter, the Community Connection, you may sign up at the Greater Kitsap Chamber, and it comes out every Tuesday and Thursday. And everything you need to know about business is in that newsletter. So thank you all.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Evans. What fantastic news to hear those dollars flowing into our local small businesses. And I know last year, the majority of council was ecstatic to attend the Armed Forces Day Parade along with the mayor. So I'm sure we look forward to doing that again this year. Fantastic. And yes, next public speaker.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Stein. I'm the Executive Director for the Washington State Science and Engineering Fair, and I'm happy to report we're back in person the end of this month, March 31st and April 1 at the Bremerton High School and Performing Arts Center. And we have some great things in mind for everyone. Not only is it a science fair for all of our students, grades 1 through 12 statewide, to come to Bremerton and show their projects and to earn just under $2 million and 100% donated prizes, trips, scholarships, and awards. But we have some wonderful things that are happening this year. We have an Emmy award-winning film director and film crew coming to our fair to film it. In exchange, they have agreed to do some promotion spots, and thank you for the lodging assistance that we received that helps with this. But they'll be doing a 30-second, a 1-minute, a 3-minute, in addition to the show. And I can't wait to see what they come up with. It's so if you'd like to come and see them in action, come to the fair. It's free to the public. The United States Patent and Trademark Office is also going to be present in our city at this fair. They are sending a team of 3 educators from Washington, D.C. They'll be staying in our city, and they will be at the Bremerton High School for the Washington State Science and Engineering Fair, open to the public. And they're going to talk to anyone that's interested about how to patent and trademark your ideas, your concepts. If you've ever had a question, this is a great idea. What do I do with it? Now is the time. They're going to also offer 4-hour workshops, both on Friday and Saturday, again, open to the public. And for any teachers out there, we as a state fair will pay for 4 hours, clock hours, teaching time for you to attend. So that's a way of saying thank you to our teachers as well. So please do come to the fair this year, March 31, April 1, Bremerton High School Performing Arts Center. We're on the W's at WSSEF.org. I hope to see everyone there. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Anyone else for public recognition? Yes, we'll stick in the room here and then we'll go to Zoom after we finish in person.
Council, how's everyone doing this evening? Good to see you in person. As usually I'm streaming this on Zoom. I just want to let you guys know that today, Kitsap Housing and Homeless Coalition had their monthly meeting, and they had their awards ceremony today. And several really powerful organizations like God's Broken Home University, Salvation Army, Pendleton Place were all awarded and recognized for the work that they do in this community in regards to homelessness and housing insecurity. And so I just wanted to share that with you. That this county is doing a lot of work, this city is doing a lot of work to address the unhoused. We have to talk about the good and also be critical about the things that need to be worked on. You'll hear people that will talk about bathrooms later on. The other thing that I just wanted to say, as always, is the working family tax credit will provide up to $1,200 to individuals and families who meet the eligibility requirements at workingfamiliescredit.wa.gov. Didn't say who it was. I'm Marwan Cameron, the executive director of Together Grow Together. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And thank you as well. If I got it correct, the food and back was left over from that event. So thank you so much for leaving it out for folks here to enjoy. All right, yes.
Evening. Hi, I'm Suzanne Griffin. I want to thank you guys again having me. I come every year, or I try to. And I want to also thank everyone here who is wearing green. Wear this month, and green is our color. Thank you, Mayor. I would like to read the proclamation for brain injury. Whereas traumatic brain injury, TBI, and acquired brain injury, ABI, are leading causes of injury-related death and disability in the United States. And whereas injuries might potentially affect cognitive function, motor function, sensation, and emotional function. And whereas falls are the leading cause of TBI, 40% in the United States, and cause more than half, 55% of all TBIs among children ages 0 to 14 years, and 81% of all TBIs among adults aged 65 and older. And whereas other leading and preventable causes of traumatic brain injury include being struck by or against an object or person, motor vehicle crashes, substance misuse, and assaults. And whereas no two brain injuries are alike, and TBI is not an isolated event. For many, it is the start of a lifelong neurological disability, often misdiagnosed and misunderstood. Immediate access to expect trauma care, specialized rehabilitation, and lifelong disease management are a few of the elements needed to restore and maintain quality of life. Now, therefore, I, Greg Wheeler, Mayor of the City of Bremerton, do hereby proclaim March 2023 as Brain Injury Awareness Month. I call upon all government agencies, health organizations, communications, media, and people of Bremerton to observe this month with appropriate recognition to ensure their own safety and that of their loved ones. And I have a couple of things I would like to discuss. I came across this book. It's a child's book, but I thought it really, because I'm a very visual person, and so this really helped me understand. It's called A Walk in the Rain with a Brain. There's a picture, or there's a picture right there. Also, it was brought to my attention by another TBI survivor that what really could help understand or help other people understand. And he said an arrow and one of those light glow sticks. An arrow, because you have to pull it backwards before you can go forward. A glow stick, you have to break in order for it to work and light up. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you, Mayor, for that proclamation. Is there anybody else for public comment? Let me see if we have anybody online. Not seeing any hands online. Oh, one more person here. Yeah, no worries. No rush, you're good.
Hello, Council and Mayor, staff. I have four things I'm going to try and get to in my 3 minutes. They're all right here. The bathrooms. I listened in on the study session the other day, and I have a lot of empathy for the struggle. I think it was to allocate that money was a great gesture, yet our systems are not in place to help us figure out how to spend it. I'd like to offer myself and others from G2 Housing, when it comes down to whoever it is who's going to sit down, is it the Public Safety Committee? Is it Public Works Committee on your council? I don't know. But if we can be helpful to sit down, because there's nitty gritty stuff to dig into. So we are offering that. And the closing of the Salvation Army, 72 beds. I don't understand. Is more money going to be found to let them continue? But where are 72 people who've been using that facility going to go now? I hope that our council and our city is looking at that along with others in the county. And the fireworks, I'm glad that was addressed after it's been, and I understand that in order to change rules, you have to make decisions this year in order for the new rule to come into place. So thank you for the reminder that it needs to be addressed. And the PTSD issue came up. That's a real thing. And our friends from the Ukraine are here, and I can't imagine what that's going to feel like. That experience of, your window shaking and for extended days and something over your head after what you all have experienced. And last, about Ukraine, I feel like we're in an unwinnable situation with both sides describing what it is they need to win. And our government does not appear to be moving anywhere closer to peace talks.
30 seconds.
So if we as individuals can communicate with our legislators to say that we would like there to be some kind of negotiation going on instead of the ongoing struggle that seems to have no end in sight, I think it is a very appropriate role for the United States to say, let us help support some peace talks. Thank you.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
Yes, Joe Walter from Bremerton.
Thank you, Joe. And real quick, I saw, the bathroom discussion is on the agenda for next week to continue that discussion for study session. And then can I ask Mr. Mayor Wheeler to address the Salvation Army, because I think he has a quick update there. So yeah, sorry, appreciate that.
All right, just a quick update on that. So I have been working with the county Salvation Army. And so just so you know, we've identified a location. We have 40 additional beds that we're adding to the Quality Inn, which is run by the Rescue Mission right now. So that takes some of the impact away, accelerated case management for both organizations to find housing, which is working. So that's ongoing, and I'll continue working to secure more beds so we can have a smooth transition. All right, thank you.
Thank you for the update, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Ma'am, have a question later on that?
Thank you so much, and Ms. Vargas. Thank you. Appreciate you going up and coming back down. So please go ahead.
No worries. My name is Akuye Karen Vargas. I'd just like to thank the council as well as our leadership, our mayor here, and our community leaders that are in the room here. I'd like to address the issue of the homeless that is there on Martin Luther King Way, right there at the intersection in the crossroad between where they get services with the community resource and with the Salvation Army, with the closing of the mission and what has happened and transpired over the last few years since even COVID hit. We know that this is a public health and safety issue. We also have concerns because we have children there and families and homes and businesses that are there as well. we are here to support whatever we need to do to have some solutions to how we will begin to help our homeless neighbors. But even in that, we need to understand the dynamics that they need services, wraparound services, as well as we're not just talking about strategies and solutions, but we have to address the mental health pieces, the behavioral, the drug and alcohol use. We have an issue there that is affecting our entire neighborhood and community, our families and our children. We work with our children diligently with our Living Life Leadership. We do youth empowerment conferences there. We cannot have our children out there needles on the ground. It's an unhealthy environment. We need to take time to say what we're going to do, and we need to do it in a collective, collaborative way with everyone that is concerned and everyone that is involved so that we can understand. And I thank all the efforts that our city council as well as leadership has taken to see what we will do moving forward as the Salvation Army closes, because that is something that is of the utmost concern, is when those doors close, where are our homeless neighbors going? And what is the next steps forward for us to be able to address these issues? I am concerned even about the porta potties. Yes, they are a wonderful idea to be able to do, but to put them there in the neighborhood with no type of monitoring and solutions of what's going to be happening, I think the idea wasn't thoroughly thought through. And so I just wanted to say, as we begin to move forward to come up with next steps, who is at the table for these conversations? Thank you very much.
Much appreciated. And I'll repeat that. This is definitely, I know, on our council goals and priorities. The mayor and I are having conversations, and next study session, we'll be talking specifically about this issue. So thank you so much, Ms. Vargas. Is there anybody else for public recognition? Just checking online one more time. No one online. Okay. With that, I will go ahead and close public recognition, and we'll now move to public hearing, and I turn it back to the city clerk.
6A, public hearing and resolution number 3356 to adopt the city's share of the Kitsap County City of Bremerton Home Consortium Home ARP allocation plan. Our presenter tonight is Community Development Block Grant Administrator Sarah Lynham.
Good evening, City Council. Thank you all for having me today. Also with me is Executive Director Jill Stanton from Bremerton Housing Authority. We appreciate her being here. Today we are talking about the Kitsap County City of Bremerton Home Consortium Home ARP Allocation Plan. Next slide, please. Just a quick overview of what we'll be reviewing this evening. First, how much funding is available, regulations and requirements of this funding, consultations and needs assessments done, what the funding breakdown looks like, and our public participation efforts. Next slide. Kitsap County City of Bremerton Home Consortium has received $2.6 million of Home American Rescue Plan, or ARP, funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to address the need for housing and supportive services for individuals and families who are homeless, at risk of homelessness, or in other vulnerable populations. Of that $2.6 million, Bremerton's allocation will be $822,538. Next slide. Funds are specifically meant for development and support of affordable rental housing, provision of supportive services, acquisition and development of non-congregate shelters, tenant-based rental assistance, and tenant-based rental assistance. Additionally, funds must be used to benefit individuals or families who are homeless, at risk of homelessness, fleeing or attempting to flee domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, stalking, or human trafficking. Other individuals or families requiring services or assistance to prevent homelessness, or are at greater risk of housing instability due to low income and high housing cost burden. and veterans and their families that meet the above criteria. Next slide, please. The allocation plan itself is a requirement for the county and city to receive their funding. Per HUD regulations, the allocation plan must include consultations with agencies who serve those qualifying populations, a public participation process, an assessment of unmet needs and gaps in housing and shelter inventory, homeless assistance and services, and homelessness prevention service delivery system. It must also include a summary of the planned uses of the home ARP funds for eligible activities based on that unmet need. Next slide, please. Kitsap County and City of Bremerton consulted with Kitsap Housing and Homelessness Coalition, the Kitsap's Continuum of Care, as well as other housing service providers that address needs of the qualifying populations and organizations that address fair housing, civil rights, and the needs of people with disabilities. A presentation was made at the May 18th regular meeting of the Kitsap Housing and Homelessness Coalition in 2022. Staff presented information on the home ARP funds and feedback was encouraged by coalition members. There was widespread consensus that the most urgent housing need is for more units of deeply affordable housing and supportive housing units. The most urgent service needs included case management, mental and behavioral health counseling, transportation services, more housing navigators to help navigate the housing system and navigate the housing system and for folks to remain housed, as well as financial assistance for housing, such as deposit and first month's rent. Slide, please. Sorry. Gaps identified included lack of affordable housing, lack of supported housing, units for those coming out of homelessness or with barriers. Also noted were a limited number of shelter beds, challenging housing referral system, lack of housing and services for the most seriously mental ill, and those with barriers like poor credit, criminal record, and poor rental history. And when asked what the top priority for limited funds should be, the most common answer was more affordable housing units. This is just there's a lot of data included in the needs assessment and gap analysis. It's pages 5 through 20 of the allocation plan. And these are just some major takeaways. Kitsap County has a shortage of 5,782 units of rental housing affordable to its extremely low income renter households, which are those earning less than 30% of the median family income. About 50% of all Kitsap County renter households were cost burdened, paying more than 30% of their income on housing costs. In 2021, there were 1,778 households meeting the homeless definition. 62% of those households were literally homeless and 38 were at imminent risk of homelessness. Just a snapshot again of our public participation efforts. The allocation plan was posted to our federal grants webpage and advertised in Kitsap Sun with a legal ad for a 15-day comment period. We also encourage comments through social media posts and e-news flash for folks on the CDBG subscription list. And we sent out another e-news flash ahead of tonight's public hearing. Next slide, please. During the comment period, we received 2 public comments, which were collected by Kitsap County. Both comments are included in your packet and both called attention to the need for more affordable and stable living situations for individuals and families who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. And we're supportive of efforts to address those urgent concerns. Next slide, please. To best address this urgent need for more units with limited funds available, both the city and county are committed to investing funds in the construction of new affordable housing units. In addition to the urgent need for more housing units, conversations with Bremerton Housing Authority point to the need for housing counselors to assist households with utilization of housing choice vouchers. Currently, the housing voucher system is underutilized in Kitsap County. Many households who qualify for vouchers struggle to complete the necessary steps to secure housing. It's been determined that a housing navigator would be essential to assist households with this process. This would better utilize existing housing resources for many vulnerable households, including those in the home ARP qualifying populations. And that housing navigator position would be a 50-50 partnership with Kitsap County. Next slide, please. Of that 822,000, I'm sorry, of that 2.6 million, $402,977 would be set aside for a 3-year salary and benefits for housing navigator position with BHA, as well as a $100,000 commitment for additional security deposit assistance. The housing navigator would provide housing search assistance in the implementation of leasing success strategies, provide high quality customer service to applicants for BHA and Housing Kitsap's housing programs. And again, it's a pilot program that would respond to an urgent need in our community and hopefully get more folks with housing vouchers into affordable and stable housing. Next slide, please. City's remaining allocation, $579,922 would be set aside to support the construction of 9 new affordable housing units in partnership with BHA. The project must serve, any construction projects must serve the qualifying populations mentioned earlier and defined in the allocation plan. And most importantly, it addresses an urgent need. Slide. And our next steps with the allocation plan would be to take public comments, and the requested action is just for Bremerton's portion of the home ARP allocation plan. Kitsap County Board of Commissioners took action on Kitsap's allocation this past Monday, and it was passed unanimously. And just a huge thank you to Kitsap County staff for putting the allocation plan together, and for Executive Director Jill Stanton for her input as well and for being here. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Lyman, for the presentation. The purpose of a public hearing is to accept public comment. So with that said, I'm going to gavel the public hearing open. We are open for public comment. So if there's any member of the public that wishes to comment specifically on this item, please either come up to the podium or raise your hand on Zoom. Just give it a few seconds here. Look over Mr. Sorensen, make sure no one on Zoom. Going once, going twice. All right, seeing no public comments on this, we'll close the public hearing and we'll go to the council for a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 3356, adopting the city's share of the Kitsap County City of Bremerton Home Consortium Home ARP allocation plan, and authorize the mayor to finalize and execute the agreement with substantially the same terms and conditions as presented.
We have a second.
And I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We're open for discussion. We'll start with Vice President Chamberlain.
Thank you, Ms. Lyman, for coming back. And I can't see if Ms. Stanton's in the room or not, but I really appreciated all of the information that you brought to us. And I think more than anything, knowing that we can't really have a say over the funds, that it's really up to the county to decide, kind of finalized a lot of my questions and concerns that I had. So I think my next steps would be to advocate with the county commissioners as to how I think some of these funds should be allocated from a personal perspective. Can you remind me again, Ms. Lyman, what was the amount that the Bremerton share was? It was 200,000 something. And so I apologize, I didn't get the numbers written down fast enough. It was housing voucher now. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Our total is 822,000, just a little bit over that. And then get back to.
And then I know we have a security deposit assistance of 100K. Was that to be distributed by Bremerton House, or by, how was that going to be distributed? That was my second question.
So my understanding is the $100,000 in security deposit assistance would be distributed similar to how the rental assistance is distributed. And that 100,000 would be split between Kitsap County and City of Bremerton. So that the Bremerton share is the $201,488.
$201,488. The security deposit assistance, was that going to be split 50-50 like our housing navigator?
Correct. So,
right. Okay.
302,000 plus the 100,000 for security deposit assistance is that 402.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, that makes sense now. And so, and I want to say I asked you this before, but we don't really have great clarification on what those 9 housing units are gonna be, if they're gonna be there, but primarily they're for families, correct?
Individuals and families, and it would
Okay.
be with BHA for a new construction.
Awesome. And this is wonderful that we have this. I mean, there's so many proposals out there, and to have all this extra funding come in that's going to support our citizens, especially getting those housing vouchers, which are so underutilized. I'm trying to remember, was it $2 million in housing vouchers we've had to return before because people weren't able to find landlords that would rent to them, or they weren't able to use those programs? And
For that question, to
That might be a question for Ms. Stanton if
oh
you
yeah.
want. That's right.
Hi.
Hi there. So the question was how much we have had to give back to HUD for not utilizing our
Right.
voucher. And we were at risk of having approximately 2 million taken back, but because we did a great job in the last 2 years, we actually did not have 2 million taken back. We didn't have anything taken back yet.
Oh, nicely done. I know you all work really hard together to get all the resources that you can out in the most efficient way possible. And hopefully a navigator will help with that. And so I fully support that. I think I'm just going to make it known publicly again that I hope that you will maybe consider reminding the county commissioners that our greatest need as issued as on Exhibit A, this really great document that I raved about at the last meeting, on page 9, on page 13, on page 16, you can see that the greatest population in need of housing is single individuals, male and female single individuals. So I'm just making that, just putting that out there, page 9, 13, 16 for y'all to review. But other than that, I'm super excited and very proud to be part of helping make this move forward in whatever small way that we can. Thank you very much for your hard work and your presentation.
Thank you, Councilmember Fry.
I fully appreciate this. And I think that last week, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the figures were that Bremerton was going to be fully supporting the navigator aspect of it. It seemed to be a half and half proposal where $400,000 of our allocation was going to be spent on the navigator position. And now the county's taking on half of that. Is that correct?
And I apologize if that was not clear at the study session. So the total all in for city and county is 402,000.
Okay.
And so
okay.
that's the 50-50 split. We're each going to be about $200,000.
That's great. And that's the way it was the whole time.
Correct, yes.
So I don't harbor any resentment, unfound resentment. I don't want to do that. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for that clarification. And, you know, I just talked to Tony Ives with KCR and heard great news about Mills Crossing. And so I think we're on a real roll with developing more affordability, not only for the citizens of Bremerton, but for Kitsap County. I love it when the city and the county work so well together. And so shout out for that. And I'm so glad that Jill, you're here tonight because you've done phenomenal things at BHA, and you've got the infrastructure. You know, let's continue to invest in it. So thank you very much for your work and the impact that it's going to have on singles and those families that have 3 or 4 kids and can't find places to live. So thank you all for what you're doing.
Any other council member for discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll just, sorry, Councilmember Chamberlain, yes.
I just have one follow-up question, and it was from the study session. I had kind of asked, I'd asked Ms. Lyman and if there might be a plan to reach out to houseless individuals. Yes, a public hearing is accessible to all, but to be honest, folks that are struggling with houselessness are actually getting ready to wait in line for intake at Salvation Army or trying to secure a place to be for the night. But is there any additional effort to find out, you know, does the county have any plans to reach out directly to houseless individuals rather than just relying on their service orgs, which do have good feedback, but they're the directly impacted individuals.
So what I would say is that city and county are relying on the continuum of care and the organizations that we did consultation with to really, the folks that are on the ground serving those vulnerable populations to let folks know about this funding and getting the word out. So I think that would be my answer. We're relying on those organizations.
Okay, thank you for answering that question. That is all. Thank you.
Great, and I'll echo all the thanks from other council members, both to US Lyme and to DCD and the county. Seems like a great public process, a really thoughtful way to allocate these funds, and ended up with a great result. And I'm really proud of Bremerton. I think not only do we do our fair share, we do more than our fair share. We are per capita the poorest of the incorporated cities in Kitsap, the most diverse, and we go above and beyond as we should. To create housing and affordable housing. So I'm so grateful for our partners, BHA and KCR, for working with the city. So thank you all, and seeing no further discussion, I will call for the question.
Councilmember Fry,
Yes.
Dennehy,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Mochler,
Yes.
Younger,
Yes.
Chamberlain,
Yes.
Coughlin.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Next on the agenda is general business. Item 7A, lease modification number 1 with Wywin Properties LLC. Our presenter is Contracts Administrator Melinda Monroe.
Thank you, Council, for having me here again. I have for your consideration the use of 1931 Wheaton Way. And I hope that I have some answers to the questions that were presented at study session for you. So as you know, in 2021, the city entered into a lease with Wilwin Properties. And since that time, Wilwin has come back to the city and requested an extension to this lease, and has also submitted site improvements. I hope you have access to those plans, plan sheet A14 and A4, and those outline the scheduled plans. A14 covers the use of the parking lot. And as you can see, that includes, I hope that you can see, new asphalt and stall markings, vegetation edging around the parking lot, and a new parking lot curb. In addition, you had a few other questions about the comparison of pavement to compacted gravel and the impact if that change was approved. And I have received confirmation that the stormwater management manual for Western Washington treats gravel and pavement as equivalent impervious surfaces. Additionally, as outlined in the lease in section 2 under use, they would need to get all appropriate permits prior to pavement installation, and this would most likely result in a site development permit, which at that point would require a stormwater review as well. And finally, we have the last question that I have listed here, the potential to sell the property. And that also I can confirm would not be allowable. This is shoreline, and per the Shoreline Management Act, it should not be sold. It has potential to provide public access, even if it's only visual access. And section 3.2 of the lease is included a termination clause, which is an at-will termination clause. So for any reason we needed to pull that back, we could. And I guess finally, kind of in addition to that, the city has gone through a variety of reviews just with our consideration of future use. And we have confirmed that we don't see any use in this in the next 10 years. So with that, I hope that I've answered your questions. Definitely ready for anything else you might want to ask.
Cool, thank you so much. First, I'll ask if any member of the public wants to comment on this specific item. Usual 5-10 seconds, check online. All right, seeing none, I'll go to the council for a motion. Yes, Councilmember Mochler.
Move to approve the modification to the lease with Willowin Properties LLC and authorize the mayor to finalize and execute the agreement with substantially the same terms and conditions as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We're open for discussion. Councilmember Mockler, you have the floor if you wish.
Good evening, Ms. Monroe. I'd like to thank you and whoever else is responsible for supplying all of that additional information and the drawings that were added this afternoon, which make it really clear that the area that we're considering is just, if you're driving down Wheaton Way, as I did to check this out, you can see that there used to be a parking lot there. There's like 4 concrete blocks that mark the end of stalls. There's a fence, and then the rest of it is wooded all the way down to the water. And this contract is covering only that parking lot. And you all, English really needs a second person plural. You all did a really wonderful job amassing this information, and I'm really grateful to you, and especially for drawing out the importance and the consequences of it being shoreline property. Thank you.
Councilmember Fry, any comment if you wish? Sure. Okay. Any other council members for comment, questions? All right, seeing none, I'll just extend the thanks to council for doing due diligence and making sure we're good stewards of our city land. And thank you so much for all the extra information. It seems like by renting out this land, we'll get a little extra cash for the city we can do good things with. It'll help continue revitalization of that area, which is definitely a goal of ours. And good to know we can't sell it and there's a built-in termination clause. So appreciate all that. And with no further discussion, I'll call for the question.
Councilmember Dennehy,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Mockler,
Yes.
Younger,
Yes.
Chamberlain,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Coughlin.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. This concludes general business.
All right, thank you so much. And now we'll go to council reports. Since this is the last council meeting of the month, we'll start with District 7, Councilmember Eric Younger.
No report, thank you.
All right. All right, we'll skip Councilmember Mockler. We'll go to District 5, Councilmember Michael Goodnow. Well, we can come back.
Yeah, I don't have much to report on. I just will mention that the next Charleston Business District meeting down on for the Callow area is on Tuesday, March 21st at 6 p.m. And it's going to be at 330 North Callow Avenue. It's a new business opening up at 6 p.m. So the Charleston monthly meeting, Tuesday, March 21st, 6 p.m., 330 North Callow at 6 p.m. Thanks. That's all I have.
Fantastic. All right, back to Councilmember Mockler.
Thank you. Could I see the first slide, please? Look, it will be spring eventually. So earlier this week, I had the opportunity to do a field trip to the North Mason Fiber Compost Facility, which is a huge expanse, like dozens of acres. It's got its own railroad spur. And it was just really impressive, the scale and magnitude of that operation, and the difficulties with a heterogeneous waste stream coming into that kind of compost. So it was fully educational, but really I'm showing this to you to go, can you see that? That's 3 bald eagles standing on top of that fish compost. I saw a dozen bald eagles there, really reminding you of why Benjamin Franklin did not want the bald eagle to be our national bird, as they are thieves. Anyhow, a lovely spot for bird watching, who knew? And I'd very much like to thank the administration for making this opportunity possible. Next slide, please. So St. Patrick's Day Parade. Councilor Fry assured me that this would be unlike every other St. Patrick's Day Parade I'd ever been to. I have part of my mongrel background is Irish. And every St. Patrick's Day Parade I'd gone to was filled with people drinking green beer and, trying to put this nicely, abruptly ridding themselves of the green beer. And this was wonderful. It was families, it was kids. Josh Farley was commentating. It was a lovely parade. We went around the block and yeah, I got to bring Lulu the dog. You can see her tail right behind me. She would like me to convey to everyone that she is against the bagpipe, but I loved them. So we had a St. Patrick's Day parade. So I'm just gonna quote a short piece. I'm gonna read a short piece from Deirdre the Sorrows by J.M. Singh. Short thing, the emissary has been sent from the king to bring Deirdre back to Ireland, and she's fled to England. She's among Saxons with her lover Nacy. And so Owen says, "You've been 7 years spancelled with Nacy and the pair." And Deirdre says, 3 weeks of your days might be long, surely, yet 7 years are a short space for the like of Nacy and myself. Owen says, "If they're a short space, there aren't many the like of you. Wasn't there a queen in Tara had to walk out every morning until she'd meet a stranger and see the flame of courtship leaping up within his eye? Tell me now, are you well pleased that length with the same man snorting next you at the dawn of day?" And Deirdre says, "Am I well pleased? 7 years, seeing the same sun, throwing light across the branches at the dawn of day. It's a heartbreak to the wise that it's for a short space we have the same things only." Thank you.
And thank you. Next, we'll go to District 4, Councilmember Quinn Dennehy.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to say thank you to everybody that showed up for public comments today. I think there's a different feeling in City Council meetings when the room is really full and there's an import that you recognize and there's a palpability of a palpable feel of community and how important this work is, and it reminds me of that when I see so many people. So I want to thank everybody who commented tonight. I want to thank especially, I'm sorry I forgot the name, but the young man in the front row who spoke and is from Ukraine. I just want to thank you for the courage that it took to come to the United States, the courage that it took to speak to us tonight. And I personally, and I know, millions of Americans are with you, are with the Ukrainian people. History does not look fondly upon tyrants and dictators like Putin. And the United States, I really hope will start sending even more funds and doing everything we can to make sure that this conflict comes to an end. Just thank you. And I'm not sure how long you've been in Bremerton, but welcome to our community, and please come see us lots, and anything you need, please let us know. We know lots of people. The picture that Councilmember Mockler shared was great. I just want to thank City Council for a really great St. Patrick's Day parade. It felt great to do something outside of these regular business meetings with folks, and I hope we can continue to do that along with the Armed Forces Day Parade. Just a really huge shout out to those presenters. I'm sorry, I'm also not remembering names right now. I apologize about the funding that's coming in to address homelessness in our community. I think that the way that the community outreach was done, the thoughtful planning, the idea of having housing navigators really shore up that space is really, really smart. And I just appreciate that so much. So thanks everybody for the comments tonight. It was great to see everybody in person.
Thank you, Councilmember Dennehy. Next up is District 2, Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, President Coughlin. I think I have a few slides that guide me as I go through here. For me, wrong date, but that's okay. Thank you. Thank you to Erin Hale, who is the new executive director of the Downtown Bremerton Association and also an incredible photographer. Without her, I would have no pictures really of my grandchildren because I neglected to take pictures. I was so busy having fun during the parade. That, of course, Max is in the red wagon. That is Council President Coughlin's son. But that's Madison and Liam in the background. I am so thankful to the city council for participating. I love a parade, and I think it's a wonderful way to bring community together. It doesn't cost us much. It was the shortest parade ever, but the families that came with their dogs, the kids in wagons, little, you know, the mayor, by the way, Mayor, you and Sonny looked great. You know, he had his banner on, it was Kiss Me and I'm Irish. And I thought, man, is he gonna get in trouble? Can you go to the next slide, please? And just a couple of more. That's my Liam. And then the next one is my Madison. That's why I do the work that I do, is because I believe in the next generation here in Bremerton, and my grandkids are Bremertonians. So born at St. Michael's. So next slide, please. Quinn, you're on. I told him I could tell that the photographer for the Kitsap Sun was taking his picture. And I told him, you are going to make the front page, my friend. And sure enough, he made the front page. It was really a highlight of the day. And I want to thank all the Irish council members for suiting up and showing up. Next slide, please. And then a shout out, this is in my district, Enoch City, I think it's called it Enoch, President Coughlin, is it Enoch? City Arts, the Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. March 17th through April 1st, you can get tickets at www.enoch, that's E-N-O-C-H, cityarts.org. It's on Lebo Boulevard. And our own Vanessa, who is, I believe, in our legal department, city attorney's office. She is starring in this or playing in it. So let's all suit up and show up and have a good time. And then lastly, I just need to keep talking about this project. Tony Ives of Kitsap Community Resources called me first thing Monday morning and said that he had heard from Commerce and they got the full award. And I'm looking at Jill Stanton, I think it was 6.3. He applied for 6.3. That's all they were going to give to Kitsap County, and he got the whole shebang. So there's just a little bit of money still to raise for this project. 36 housing units of 3-bedroom, beautiful living here. And the point I'll close with, my friends from the Ukraine, I worked for many years in domestic violence, and we worked with children who were living in domestic violence. And studies were done, and they found that what we were seeing in the children of domestic violence was very similar to children growing up in a war zone. I want to tell you, my heart is with you. And the way we see that transpire here at City Council is each one of those units is going to have a garage that you can drive into with your children, close the garage door, it will lock, you can get into your house safely. That, to a mother with her children that's fleeing domestic violence, will make an impact that nobody in this room can even imagine except for these two people here. So thank you for being here tonight. And we do this work for people like you.
Thank you. Next up is District 1, Councilmember Jennifer Chamberlain.
Hello there. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. I wanted to just kind of summarize. I've been doing, I think I'm on 60 days now of parks. So we've got January, February, March. So I've done all of these days of going to parks every day. If I didn't make it one day, I went to two the next. And I just want to share some health benefits that might not be, you can't always measure them. I have had, and this is at least, 30 minutes outside in nature, no headphones a day. I did 3 times more steps over the past 3 months than I did this time last year. I have more focus. I don't know if anybody else gets seasonal affective disorder a little bit. I get that a little bit of depression. So I have, my depression's way diminished. Lower anxiety, much better sleep. Some of you know I'm not much of a sleeper, but now I'm getting just a regular 6 to 7 hours of sleep, and for me that's pretty good. And so I just encourage everybody to get out into the parks, get out into nature, take your earbuds out, listen to the birds, listen to the wind going through the trees and the water, especially the water, because there's so many health benefits to just being part of nature. I don't have an official announcement yet or flyer, but on April 15th, we're going to be doing a work party at Stephenson Canyon and meeting up at the Birch Street Trailhead, which is our city of Bremerton. It was a nursery, not to be confused with Bremerton City Nursery, but we have a greenhouses and a trailhead on Birch Street. And so that'll be from 10 to 12 on April 15th. And yes, Max Straponsky, if I said the last name wrong, I apologize if I butchered it, but we're all impressed with your bravery and the story that you share, because you don't just share the story from Ukraine, you also share, you had me in tears, honey, and I'm about to cry again, okay? So you shared, the stories of people from Syria, the people from, Venezuela, Afghanistan, Myanmar, South Sudan, all these places that are experiencing atrocities in the same way. And so you are not alone. And the only thing I take pretty fastidious notes at every council meeting. And I listened and I absorbed your story. And the only thing I wrote for the notes for yours was glory to Ukraine and glory to the USA. So thank you very much, honey. And I really appreciate that you came out to this meeting. That's all for me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I've got just a few slides for District 3. Let's see here. I think first off is I just wanted to highlight some incredible amount of fantastic work by our Project Works department. I know this 2023 construction map came out, and I just cropped out the small part of District 3. There's of course work all throughout the city. But in District 3 specifically with downtown and Manette, there's the East 11th and Perry project. We've got the 11th and Washington project. There's sewer work, there's sidewalks going in, sewer decommission we just talked about the other week. So just another kudos. There's been really great communication between Public Works and residents. Been going to the Manette Neighborhood Coalition and Manette Business Association meeting, and there's been Public Works folks there, and even in DCD the other day. So just a big thanks to staff for attending those meetings and being in such close contact with the residents and incorporating their feedback. And just lots of great work going on, improvements across the district. Next slide is I know that the announcement on Quincy Square we knew was a possibility of it being delayed to next year. So that's I know it's going to be a disappointment to some, though very understandable. But I just last second decided to get together with local business owner Holly Moss and just throw out this date and time, and we'll work on details. But the day after this is First Friday downtown, and so thought it'd be good just to see what folks in the community are interested in just doing another neighborhood cleanup. I mentioned a couple weeks ago I attended one at Pleasant and Highland, organized by a neighbor. That was really it was fantastic. It was it's amazing how many little tiny specks when you really look for it are out there. But it was just a great way to bring the neighborhood together and get some involvement and picking it up. So I'll have more details on this to come. And next slide. Just a reminder, I think mentioned by Councilmember Chamberlain in the last meeting, but tomorrow night, the Bremerton Community Farmers Market is having a meeting at 5:30 at Manette Realty Co. To see if there are folks interested in serving temporarily on that board as they try and make the farmers market happen this year. And I know they've been in talks with Mayor and Parks Director and staff on seeing what the city can do. So appreciate all the work there, and hopefully this comes together for the summer. Next slide. Wow, water fountain. You're going, why is Jeff so excited about a water fountain? So this is over in Manette by Whitey Domstead Park, and the Manette Business Association for, gosh, like 5 years now has had a longstanding goal to get a water fountain in that park. And long story short, they've had different leaderships. And Sarah Baker came on a bit over a year ago and said, all right, let's get this fountain in. So they raised dollars and really fantastic work by the city. So especially kudos to Parks Director and Public Works Director over there, Tom Nucky and Ilovato. Thanks so much. And to the mayor for authorizing this. Did my part to facilitate some communications behind the scenes, but otherwise it was all the Manette Business Association and city staff working together, partnership and funding between community and city obviously getting this installed in the city space, and it is fantastic. It has a dog bowl on the bottom. It's ADA accessible in the middle there. It has a water bottle fill on our top for joggers and people coming by. And I just thought it was such a fantastic, and if we go to the next slide, such a fantastic example of community coming together. And so after the last business association meeting, we went down and had little champagne glasses all from the fountain. But from Bremerton water was darn good tasting and the best water in the whole peninsula. So I think let's keep this up and look for little small wins like this in the community that the city can be a part of and give people real investment in their community. So major kudos to everybody again. And I think I just have one or two last slides. Yeah, I wanted to highlight the parade too. So thanks to Councilmember Fry, your idea. You poked me and said, "Hey, can we do the parade?" And thanks to council staff for getting us registered. And thank you for printing out the banner. And that was just so fantastic. What a great group activity, and just nice to be out in the community. I think folks to see their local government, that we're here, we're human beings. You can come talk to us one-on-one. And next slide, which should be my last one, was I also wanted to embarrass Councilmember Dennehy that he was the star of the show, front page Kitsap Sun. Yep, top of the flag. So fantastic, just great all around. And I'll just close with thanks again to all our speakers for speaking up and echoing Councilmember Dennehy. It's great to have people here. We really want input. And the only thing I'll add is thank you again, Max, for speaking up, and Slav Ukraini. So appreciate it. All right, and with that, council will have a yes. So we'll take a 5-minute recess. We will convene back upstairs in our council conference room at 7 p.m. for a 20-minute executive section. And I got to read this out loud, but we'll convene 20 minutes to discuss potential litigation per RCW 42.30.110, section 1, subsection I, and action is anticipated when we come back down to chambers here. So with that, we'll resign to our executive session. Always after the meeting.
That is not allowed.
Oh,
Coming up to this.
okay.
You were
Yeah.
still in the session. You have not.
Oh, I didn't see her. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
That guy.
She said she was going to.
Recording stopped.
Recording in progress.
All right, we are back from executive session and I call the regular meeting back to order. I now call upon the city attorney to summarize the action before council. Or Assistant City Attorney Brett Jett. Teddy.
Would you like me to summarize it or just provide a motion?
I think you can just provide a motion and then we'll go to public comment and then.
So the motion is a move to authorize the mayor to execute the TIVA Global Opioid Settlement Agreement Subdivision and Special District Settlement Participation Form, the Allergan Public Global Opioid Settlement Agreement Subdivision and Special District Settlement Participation Form, the CVS Settlement Agreement Subdivision Participation and Release Form, the Walgreens Settlement Agreement Subdivision Participation and Release Form, the Walmart Settlement Agreement Subdivision Participation Form, and the Washington State Allocation Agreement governing the allocation of funds paid by certain settling opioid manufacturers and pharmacies in substantially the same or similar forms as presented.
All right, and we'll go and see if there's any member of the public that wishes to comment on this item, either in person or online. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Oblowski. Oh.
Shane Oblowski, how much money are we talking about? And how's it gonna be used? Or are we just accepting the money now to decide how we're gonna use it later on with real public input?
Sure, so I'm happy to answer that. This is just accepting the money at this point, and under these various settlements, the city would be receiving up to little over $1 million over a span of 15 years.
Over 15 years?
Correct.
Cool, thank you. Does any other member of the public wish to comment? And due diligence checking on Zoom? Nobody? All right, seeing no further public comment, I'll go to the council for a so moved motion. Councilmember Goodnow.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I will call for the question.
Councilmember Goodnow,
Yes.
Mochler,
Yes.
Younger,
Yes.
Chamberlain,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Dennehy,
Yes.
Coughlin.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you. That adjourns City Council business meeting. A reminder that the next study session will be held here in the first floor meeting chambers next Wednesday, March 22nd, beginning at 5 p.m. With, as always, a remote option. That concludes tonight's regular council business. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.